Good afternoon, my friends. Daniel Miller here, and welcome you all to our gaming industry news. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed our presentation on all that was indeed unraveling before our eyes yesterday in State of Play and in Inside Xbox. And we are continuing now with other news which are indeed here with us today that would have arrived overnight. And these are what we call our daily gaming industry news, the information we get on the wires from developers and publishers worldwide. And today we have some really exciting news in addition to what we said already in our previous presentation. The news are related to Fortnite, Dead Cells, and Overwatch, Bayonetta 2, Final Fantasy VII, The Last of Us Part 2 After Party, and Red Dead Redemption. So really, without further ado, probably the best way forward is just simply by hopping in. A lot to get through, lots of news really arriving at the moment because there are so many releases and we are so excited about so many different games. So really very exciting times are ahead of us. One of the games I really anticipate, with sort of huge excitement is Ubisoft's Watch Dogs Legion. And Ubisoft producer said Watch Dogs Legion is one of the most ambitious games that Ubisoft has ever imagined. And if you're not familiar, they are introducing a new system of character selection, and basically the idea is that you're roaming the streets of London, you find some characters walking the streets, and you can select them to become a member of your faction. But that's what is said several times. How this is going to work in practice remains to be seen. But certainly looks like a really exciting game, and a game that is indeed going to be, providing us with a lot of interesting content and plenty of enjoyable and highly exciting gameplay. So let's have a look what is said about Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs Legion will let you play as anyone in a post-Brexit, high-tech dystopian London, and achieving this feature was the biggest challenge yet for Ubisoft, and that's been reviewed in an interview with Stevie Raw, and that also is another gaming industry hub online. Shelley Johnson is the associate producer on the next Watch Dogs game, and she explained how systemic programming creates over 8 million possible NPCs for players to recruit and step in their shoes. 8 million possible NPCs, that's astonishing. This is probably one of the most ambitious games Ubisoft has ever imagined. Well, I'd say probably one of the most ambitious games that anyone's ever seen. 8 million possible NPCs to be selected. That's unbelievable. Honestly, it just defies logic. And she said, honestly, there are so many GDC talks to come from this game. We innovated across so many axes to make this, to play as anyone, as a pillar, to really fulfill on the promise of that. It's very expensive. It did take a long time. This game is, in as far as challenge is concerned, very complex and almost beyond any description. I absolutely believe Shelley in all she says, because it does sound like there will be many different characters which you can choose in order to play with. And she said, how many million? 8 million NPCs, incredible. In fact, Ubisoft found that the undertaking required a new approach to playtesting due to its intricate complexity. To be honest, it's really the first game, I think, for Ubisoft where we realized the limits of human testing, she says. Quality control, she added, we really are crossing over into the need for for artificial intelligence to start picking up some of the heavy lifting when it comes to testing the game because of the complexity. As well as this, the possible characters will be extensively researched and written to represent an authentic Londoner from the 8 boroughs included in Legion City. Well, I'm playing Vampire at the moment, which takes place in First World War London type of environment, and it's beautifully recreating kind of post-Victorian London with all the characters and atmosphere, and very gothic. It does have the aura of kind of a Bram Stoker type of novel, and it gives you a picture of Dickensian London, which has been just moved forward to 1917, and I'm very curious to see how Vampire would indeed square together with Watch Dogs Legion, because obviously Watch Dogs is going to be your contemporary London, perhaps a bit more futuristic than expected, but really very, very exciting times ahead of us as far as London in video gaming is concerned. Johnson also described the transformation that Watch Dogs Legion has undergone, occurring concurrently to hacktivist risings and the encroachment of cutting-edge technologies into private lives, everything that we fear presently. Watch Dogs really started with, at the same time as Occupy movement. She said there was a certain kind of promise about giving into the system and all else. I think we evolved that with that sort of hacker activist collective into something that is now slightly more existential in the fight and the resistance. The building of a resistance movement and how we make that meaningful with a full city of people. It's very ambitious, it's exciting, and it's where we are really proud of the diversity in and the impact we think we're going to have, we are going to be able to achieve, Johnson concluded. It is the evolution of the brand, for sure. It's very much a Watch Dogs game, but it's completely different. You can play as anyone in this world. It's not a single hero. Each character is completely unique. You know, there are two kind of things that come to mind. First of all is the vast number of choices, 8 million NPCs theoretically. The reason for that is she's referring to 8 million of London's inhabitants, right? Because our census would have indicated that we have presently just over 8 million people living in the capital. But also the other thing that comes to mind is about those factions, because they really are a kind of resistance stroke terrorists, right? And I'm not sure exactly what forces they'll be fighting, because my feeling after watching the trailers was that the government and the environment seemed very much of a kind of totalitarian type. So those Londoners are living in a fascist totalitarian state. They're rebelling against it. And I'm quite curious to see how this is going to work, and also whether, kind of GTA-style violence is going to be accepted or indeed embraced by the city's inhabitants, because evidently we've seen surging crime in the recent years and many problems, social, economic, and of all sorts, really plaguing the capital. I wonder really whether that is going to have a positive response purely from a kind of reality viewpoint rather than, London of the future, so to speak. But don't forget, anyone making a video game about Washington or London or New York, regardless of the fact whether it is placed in the distant future, there will always be some references to the current political or socio-economic situation. So I'm very curious to see how the game is going to be received. It's a major investment, huge amount of time and effort went into its development, and we've had lots of news arriving to our desk from Ubisoft related to the game. It'd be very disappointing if some of those issues were to be affecting its sales. But let's wait and see, and I'm very excited to hear about the degree of ambition that was being put into the game, which is what we always want to see when experiencing those games that we consider to be perhaps the ones branding the new generation of gaming, or indeed providing us with something entirely new or different to all that we experienced so far. So just to remind you, Watch Dogs Legion will launch for PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Google Stadia on March the 6th of 2020. Well, Red Dead Redemption 2, and as you could see it on your screen, it is still one of the most popular games played at the moment. Loads of people are still tackling the basic story, considering how vast it is, let alone anything else. And we are hearing presently that Red Dead Redemption 2 for PC was rated by the Australian Classifications Board, which seems to say that the game may be ported to PC very soon. We're getting this through videogamer.com and also through WCCF Tech. The game was first filled for classification in August, but was denied, and this new listing, as spotted by Hawkeye fans of Resetra, said that a Red Dead Redemption 2 PC port would be rated as a MA15 by the Australian Classification Board. Additionally, the Rockstar Games launcher was released last week and offered also Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for free to those who downloaded it. Rockstar Games has not confirmed that Red Dead Redemption 2 for PC, but the two events seem somewhat connected. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick said that there are going to be no downside to doing so, and clearly the company has tried to get the title rated before. So quite interesting is happening in Australia, right? Classification boards often let the cat out of the bag with new games and new additions. For example, the remaster of Borderlands for consoles was leaked before 2K Games announced it. A listing for Star Wars Legends also revealed that the new game ahead of 2009's Video Game Awards show. And what's more, both of these were given away by ratings by the Australian Classifications Board. So that seems definitely very much of interest. It's best that we can obviously be just holding our horses and waiting until Take-Two Rockstar Games actually officially confirm or deny the PC port of Red Dead 2. But in view of all we heard, it seems very, very likely. If you are interested still in Red Dead Redemption 2 and what this game is about, you can just access many reviews online. One of those I'm looking at the moment is a video review on videogamer.com, and if you want to hear what the chaps running that very, very valuable industry hub basically said, what the verdict was, just access that YouTube video, which is on their YouTube channel, and that is videogamer.com YouTube channel. The video is called Red Dead Redemption 2 Review. Right, so let's just have a look at all the other exciting news. As you know, we've had plenty of those emerging overnight. All of those were related to Microsoft and Sony, the presentations. So Fortnite might be getting a totally new map in the next season. Who's playing Fortnite at the moment? Are you still enjoying it? Fortnite is so popular. When you go to Microsoft Store, everyone's playing Fortnite. When you are on buses and tube trains, everyone's playing Fortnite. When you're on the overground trains, everyone's playing Fortnite. Some people play Apex as well, I have to admit. But still remaining one of the most popular Battle Royale games ever created. And over 10 seasons, Fortnite's map has morphed and metamorphosized, adding new points of interest and themed events to the game for players to grapple with. Most recently, these have been the Rift Zones that have brought back previously destroyed locations, like for instance Greasy Grove and the Motel, and included crossovers with the Wild West, Borderlands and Gotham City. But the lie of the land has always stayed the same, and these changes have either been temporary or affected just one part of the island. Well, this could be now changing forever. And fans discovered a list of 10 new locations through data mining. So all of those areas contain places like Beachy Bluffs, Frenzy Farm, Slurpy Swamp, and are never before seen names in the game. Furthermore, a leaked loading screen for Season 10's final week